Hi everyone, Simona here from Vectortwist. Now let's get a bit creative with artboards. Instagram puzzles are still very popular, and most likely will stay popular, and they're really fun to create. So let's use Illustrator to help us set up a neat working file. So go to File, New, and in the pop-up, select one of the pre-selects for web. So we already have pixel set and RGB color mode. Then we'll change the width to 1080 and the height to 1080 as well. After that, we're going to set multiple artboards. Since we're going to set up an Instagram puzzle, let's set the artboards to 12 and then press Create. Now you can see that we have 12 artboards, equal size with a small space in between. Now, as you know, for your Instagram puzzles, the images shown on an Instagram feed are always 3 across. So we need to change and rearrange the artboards. So let's click the Artboard panel, click the Rearrange All Artboards, and in the pop-up, let's set the columns to 3 and let's set the spacing to 0 pixels. Then press OK. Now we have 12 artboards, 3 in a row and 4 columns. Now we can set up our Instagram puzzle and design. Since we have no space in between, if we have any artboard overlapping, we can create really a cohesive Instagram puzzle. Now let me show you an example of an Instagram puzzle. Here I have the same file, 12 artboards, 3 columns, 4 rows, and I already numbered them for you. Since you know when you schedule your Instagram puzzle, you can't start with the top left. You actually have to start with the bottom right. So I put the numbers in place, first post, second, third, and so forth, with the top left being the last post. And you can set this up in Illustrator easily with the artboards. Now I'm going to turn off this layer so we won't see the numbers. And here's the design I've created. You can see that my design elements flow from one artboard to the next. For example, if I select my first shape, you can see that it's going over to the second artboard, the third, fourth, and so on. This way I can design the whole look of my Instagram puzzle that gets posted. And at the same time, I can rearrange the elements too. You can see again here that this element overlaps 2 artboards, and I can resize it or even choose a different color. Now the important part is to set your naming structure right for your artboards. So let's head over to the Artboard panel. In the Artboard panel you can see that I already renamed the artboards. Artboard number 1 is called Insta12. This will be the last post for our puzzle. Now right now it's not highlighted, so I'm just simply going to double click on the number 1. I have my artboard in the center of my screen and it's my last post. If I click on number 12, which in Illustrator is my last artboard, but it will be my first post on Instagram. I'll double click it and then I have it right in front of me. I'm going to zoom out so we can see everything again, and I'm going to turn on the numbering, and you can see this is the first post, second, third, fourth, and so on. Of course, you don't want to turn on your numbering when you export your artboards, but setting up a file with multiple artboards for your Instagram puzzle is really helpful because you can turn it into a template, which we'll talk about in the next lesson, and then reuse it over and over again. And that way you can create your Instagram puzzle easily and quickly. And the reason why, because each artboard can be exported on its own. And since you renamed all your artboards, when you export them, they will use the name of the artboard. So you know exactly which photo or image to post on Instagram in which order. For example, if you're going to export all of your images for your Instagram puzzle, you would go to File, Export, and you would select Export for Screens. Now in the pop-up, you'll select all of the images, and as you can see, it will take the name of your artboard, and then you can save it into your folder, and then you can export all of your images that you want to post on Instagram. And this way you know exactly which image you have to post first, which image you have to post second, third, and so forth. Now let's export them. So we're going to choose where to export to. I have already created a folder, so I'm going to select it and click Choose. Then I'm going to set the format. I'm going to leave the scale as 1, suffix as none, and set PNG. You have from the drop-down also an option to choose JPEG, SVG, and PDF. You can export PNG as transparent files or to have a background color. In my case, I did not create a background color. The color you see on the artboard is the color of the artboard, but with nothing in the back. And you can set the settings for this when you click the settings buttons, which says Advanced Settings for Exported File Types. and in the pop-up I can set for PNG to have a background color, either transparent, white or black. So I'm going to choose white and then click Save Settings. Then we'll click Export Artboards. Now here the file folder with all the exported Instagram images. And as you can see, they have the name from the artboard, and I know exactly which one to post first. Of course, you don't want to turn on your numbering when you export your artboards. Just to show you another example, here's another design without any words or imagery, with just colors. Each shape overlaps several artboards, so you can easily create clipping masks, you can add elements stretching from one artboard to the other, and you can easily move them around as well. But this way you can really work visually on your Instagram puzzle. And since the structuring and naming of the artboards will stay the same, when you export your images, you always know which order to follow. Now, of course, you can use this and change the color. So I selected this shape with the yellow. If I go and switch the yellow to an orange, you can create just another Instagram puzzle. Or you change the blue into a purple and the purple into a light green. Now, just to emphasize this is one design file. You've saved it with your 12 artboards, and you can change on the fly your design. And the beauty of it, you set it up once, everything is named properly, and then you can just add any other elements. Another example is to import artwork you've already made. So let me show you. Here I have a poster that I've created in Illustrator. I'm going to select the poster, create a copy, and then go into my Instagram setup. And I simply have to paste it just into my Instagram puzzle template and then arrange it to be fairly centered. It's okay to have white borders around, and then I can export it. And since again, if I go back to the artwork panel, my naming structure stays the same, I know which one to post first. So let me show you with the exporting. We'll go to File, Export, and then select Export for Screens. In the pop-up, you want to make sure that all of your artboards are selected. You can see that we have the naming of the artboards, and then you just choose where to export it to, and you choose the format. In this case, I'm going to leave it as PNG, and then click Export Artboard. This will export all of the artboards. So let me show you the folder where they export it to. Now here's the folder with my exported images, and then I just simply have to select them one by one and post them. Since I have the numbers next to the name, I know which one to post next. For example, let's place a photo into our file. So I'm going to File, Place, and then of course choose the location where I have my file, and then place it into Illustrator. Now here we have a photo of roses. I'm just going to center it above our artboards, and then we can add to any artboard any text we like. For example, to the first artboard, let's add the phrase, "Stop and smell the roses." And then we're going to do the same thing to every second artboard. Just add your quotes or phrases or whatever you like. I'm going to speed this up, and then we're going to export it again and see how we can create easily an Instagram puzzle. And since we have still the setup with our artboards and the naming right, again we can just go to File, Export, Exports for Screen, and repeat the step from before. Make sure maybe you choose a new folder and then export your images. And here we have the folder with the images exported. Each and every single one we can upload to Instagram and build our Instagram puzzle like this. And all with just one single file in Adobe Illustrator. Now, before we end this lesson about artboards, I would like to share with you a few super helpful keyboard shortcuts that can make your design life with Adobe Illustrator much easier. The first keyboard shortcut is to double-click the hand tool to fit current artboard to window. So all you have to double-click is the hand tool. I selected the artboard for my business card design, and then double-click the hand tool. This will fit the whole artboard into my window. Alternatively, you can also use Command+O or Control+O. Now, as you can see, this particular artboard is zoomed into 377%. If you want to have it fit at 100%, all you have to do is double-click the zoom tool, and it will size down the artboard to 100% of its original size. If you have multiple artboards and you want to see all of them at once, there's another shortcut for this. It's Command plus Option plus 0. So press Command plus Option and 0 on your keyboard, and it will fit all of the artboards into view. Alternatively, for Windows, it's Ctrl plus Alt plus 0. Here we have a Pinterest pin layout where I'm working on a few pins. I started with one, and now I want to copy the name of the website with my logo onto all of the other artboards. There's a shortcut for this as well. All we have to do is select what we want to copy, go to Edit, select Copy, and then go back to Edit and select Paste on all artboards, or Command plus Shift plus Option plus V. This will paste it into the same location on all other artboards. Of course, there's a little bit of a downfall here. The artboards have to be the same size. If the artboards are different sizes, it can't calculate it properly. But if you're working with Pinterest pin templates or Instagram templates, it is fairly easy to copy one element from one artboard on all of the other artboards with one simple shortcut. Again, the shortcut is Command plus Option plus Shift plus V or Control plus Alt plus Shift plus V. Another shortcut is if you press the space bar, you will automatically get the hand tool, and then you can move the artboards around on your screen. This is really helpful again if you have multiple artboards and you need to look at different things on your screen. Now here's another trick. For example, you placed an image on an artboard. Now you would like to resize with just a few clicks this artboard to the image. All you have to do is select the artboard tool and then double click on the image. As you can see, the artboard has now been sized directly to your image. You didn't even have to select anything else. Just to show you again, you placed your image, you'll select the artboard tool and then simply double click on your image. Now the artboard has been sized to the bounds of your image. Another neat way to resize the artboard is if you have created, for example, several labels with a background in the back and you would like to send it to your client for approval. You created a gigantic artboard, and instead of going and resizing the artboard with the artboard tool, you can simply go to Object, Artboards, and then select Fit to Artboard Bounds. It fit the artboard right to your background. Now you can simply save this file and then send it to your client. Now here's another example that I would like to mention. I have two label designs on my artboard, and you would think if I choose Resize to Artboard Bounds, it would snap it around the circle. But let's see what happens. I'll go to Object, Artboard, and select Fit to Artwork Bounds. As you can see, it did not go around what I see on the screen. And the reason for this is, if I go to the Outline view, under View, Outline, you can see I have placed images. So it will literally go and snap the artboard to the bounds of your image that you've placed into your design. Now if you would like to fit the artboard to your selected art, here's another example. This time I'm going to select the art that I have. I would like to have the artboard be snapped to what I've selected, so all I have to go is Object, Artboard, and then select Fit to Selected Art. Now you can see that the artboard snapped right around what I've selected on my screen. Now before we end this lesson, I would like to show you one more trick. Here you can see several designs with lips and backgrounds. Now what if you would like to create artboards that snaps around the background exactly? Now we are working on one gigantic artboard. If I select just one element and then select Snap to Selected Art, I would just get one artboard. If I select everything, I would get just another artboard, but encasing everything. But I would like to have just 4 columns and 3 rows, and each of them just an artboard behind my elements. This would work great for sticker designs or things that you need to export in different images. Now what we have to do here, we have to just select the background rectangles and then go to Edit, Copy, and then Copy in the back. Don't deselect anything. Go back to Object, Artboard, and now select Convert to Artboards. Now you can see a small dark outline around each element. We still have one gigantic artboard in the back, so with the Artboard tool, we can just go and select it and then hit the delete button on the keyboard and delete it. But then you can see that I have all of the other artboards fitting to my elements that I have created in my artwork file. And this way again, you can use the export for screens and create separate images of each design without having to resize the artboards one by one. And this is it with artboards. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already. and hit the notification bell to be notified when the next tutorial is live. I'll see you then.